enjoy being the only like white light in your universe. I'm having trouble lighting, so I'm just in the living room with no books in the background, but it's a library hole, so we don't need my bookshelves. But this is a library hole. I talk about classics. My name is Kier, and this is what I'm talking about today. For efficiency and professionalism. So the first book on here is Herland by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. She is a 19th century and early 20th century feminist and writer, and one of my favorite novels ever, I forgot it's over here, is The Yellow Wallpaper and her other stories. And this is the first horror book I ever read, and it has like great mental health representation, especially for published in 1891. It's so great. So I wanted to read this. It's mass market paperback, so hopefully I'll read it because I find it very difficult to be dyslexic and read this. But this is about a feminist utopia where men discover this society completely made of women, and it's like, maybe we should like rethink how we think about women and roles in society. And this was published in 1915, so I'm really excited to read it. And I also have her biography, To Herland and Beyond, which looks at her life and like the people that shaped her and how her work is shaped. And I'm really excited to read this too. I might only like flip through it and then read it later because it's a long thing and I have a lot on my plate, but that is there. This is going to be super informal, as you can tell. And then I have the graphic adaptation of The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. This is another person I'm falling in love with. And I loved the story. It's not my favorite by her. That would go to The Demon Lover or The Tooth, Charles. I love a lot of them, but this is really great and her most well-known thing. And I love the art. And I think that making classics accessible to more people is really needed. And then we have Sula. This is a book that I read in October. I had read it in early 2018 and had hated it. And then I realized that I needed to like look past myself and to look past my preconceived notions and what made books good. And like, you don't always have to have a likable protagonist. You don't have to have a protagonist, and you don't always have to agree with the morality of the book to believe that it's a good book, because this book is well written. And I also realized that it deals with a lot of trauma that I myself also experienced, and thus was very like traumatized by the book. But being re-traumatized by a book does not mean it's a bad book either. So I want to write a review, but I also wanted a book that was not an audiobook so that I could flip through it. And then I have Ingrid Gable's book, or movie, because I don't own a copy of my favorite stories adaptation. And in grade 6th grade, I read this story I watched this movie every single day. It's 3 hours long. I would skip through mostly the Anna Gilbert. Like, I literally know the breathing in this movie. I'm so used to saying book. And I haven't watched it in a few years, and I don't have the pirated version that I grew up with, so I decided to take it from the library. And then I have Watchmen, and this is a graphic novel. One that was kind of set off like the really dark, gritty era. Like, we'd already had grit and stuff with Alan Moore before, but this is, yeah, he was like, I'm gonna take a lot of the DC characters and make them really messed up and obsessed and criminals, and kind of what like The Boys I think later did, but I haven't watched that yet either or read the comics. But yeah, this was the original great darkness hates us all. And he wasn't allowed to do it with the real canon, so he did this, and then it was so popular that it was integrated into the canon. And again, I got through half of this, and 2018 was not the best year for me. And again, lots of sexual violence, and I didn't finish it because of that. But I want to read this 500 pages, and Tome Topple is coming out, so I'm excited. And then we have Break Your Glass Slippers by Amanda Lovelace. The Princess Saves Herself in this one was like groundbreaking for me, that it dealt with, again, a lot of conversations about abuse and trauma and what that looks like, and I loved it. And I kind of liked the second one. The third one I hated, mostly because it focused very much on, like, it was The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one, and very much on the fact that, like, men as persecutors and all boys as abusers, which is not true. Like, I have been hurt by men. I have also been hurt by a lot of women, which I liked the first one, kind of talked a lot about the fact that women and, like, people can still abuse women as well, and that's not talked about as much. And I was like, I do not believe in talking about abuse in the sense of retaliation. That will never be my opinion. So again, talking about books that I rated lower because I didn't agree with them, but I feel like poetry is so intricate for that, and yeah, anyways, it really rubbed me the wrong way. And also, like, it had a lot of pages at the end that were just long paragraphs rather than poetry, which can be a kind of poetry. Anyways, I just was not a fan of the third one, but I still wanted to pick up the fourth one and see what I thought. And then we're getting to the end. We have The Sleeper and the Spindle. This is a Neil Gaiman graphic novel, or like story with illustrations, and it takes a couple fairy tales, specifically Snow White, I believe, and has aspects of Sleeping Beauty as well, and like twists it. I read this again in early 2018, and I read it on audiobook really quickly, and I like didn't follow the plot, mostly because I think a lot of them have illustrations and I couldn't see the illustrations. So I was like, I am going to reread this and hopefully get something better out of it than the first time. And then for the last two, I have 2 books on Frida Kahlo. I've wanted to read more about her. She's a woman with disabilities. She's a huge artist. I found her art really evocative and also disturbing at times. And yeah, I wanted to learn more about her, but we didn't have biographies. So I got these. This one is just photos by her at home, and this one talks about her and her husband, and I've been reading through it. So again, really excited, and these are the books that I have out from the library. So that was quick and one-shot. No editing from me. Hallelujah. Anyways, you can find me on Kira the Scrivener, which is where I primarily talk about books when I'm not filming. And other than that, I will see you next time. Tell me which books you get out of the library. Are you being bad like me and not reading the books on your shelves, even though it's the end of the year? How's your reading goals going? How's your libraries? All of those things. And happy reading and writing, and I'll see you next time.